3, 2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Delusions of Grandeur. I'm your host, but here in the room with me, I have KJ. Hello, KJ.
Hey, David, how you doing?
And Boris chiming in with him. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. Welcome back to the show, both of you gentlemen. Hey, Grohl, how are you doing today?
Tired. How are you?
Going over to you, Tammy. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay. So today, even though last week was more of a tribute to Sidney Poitier, we are going to go on about a 2005 film that kind of loosely was based on last week's film, which was directed by I believe his name is Kevin Sullivan, and it stars Ashton Kutcher, Bernie Mac, Zoe Saldana, Judah Scott, Hal Williams, amongst others. But let me just tell you what IMDb says about the film, and then we'll go around and ask our first impressions of everyone. So a young woman, Teresa, brings her boyfriend Simon home to meet her parents and surprise him with the news of their engagement. Another surprise, Simon is white. So, starting with you, KJ, was this a first time watch for you?
This was the first time I'd ever watched this film in its entirety. I've saw bits and pieces of it on television.
Okay.
And I do remember when it came out, but this was my first time watching it in its entirety.
Okay. And what were your thoughts on it? At least first impression wise.
Let me say this. I was expecting it to be a typical 2000s movie. The early 2000s is like my favorite time period. But I thought it was going to be kind of like in that comedy vein of other movies like Barbershop. And, you have a couple other films. And I believe that the guy who did this movie, he directed that movie as well, Barbershop. But,
Yes.
When I saw it, I was really, impressed by it because I always had liked Ashton Kutcher on the 70s show. And, when you saw him do certain movies, I didn't think that he really stuck out in movies like he did on television.
Well,
but I have to say, he's good.
Especially when you remember him from films like, Dude, where's my car?
Those
Right,
are such a classic
right.
movie.
Right. I mean, if anything, you really at this time, you think about Ashton Kutcher from Punk. I mean that show. I mean, for some of our younger viewers, they might not know it, but that show was what that in the '70s show, like what you remember him for. And when I saw him in this, I was like, he's not actually a bad actor. Like he really, was really good. In his scenes with Zoe Saldana. But I have to say, I thought this was a very good movie. I'm actually probably gonna buy it now after seeing this.
If you want to see his acting chops, get The Butterfly Effect.
Yeah,
That
that was
that's
The
probably one of
Butterfly
his
Effect.
best movies.
The Butterfly Effect was definitely
Butterfly,
a good movie.
okay.
Yeah, he's you really see how well of an actor he is in that movie.
That movie. I put that on my list. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Going over to you, Kroll. Was this a first time watch for you?
Nope, I've seen it. I don't know how many times I've seen it, but I've seen it quite a few times. Saw it when it first came out. Laughed and loved it from the beginning. So that's why I've seen it a few times. Great movie, so hilarious. I had never seen Kisses Coming to Dinner, but my mom had said, it's like that, but instead of bringing home black guy, the girl brought home a white man, and so they just changed it up a little bit. But yeah, I thought it was just absolutely hilarious. I love the film. I've been a fan of Ashton Kutcher. I love Dude, Where's My Car? Love that '70s show. So and Bernie Mac is really hilarious too. Um, it was great seeing them together, and him and I can't remember her name, but she's really good looking. She was good chemistry with Ashton Kutcher too. And the mother was great. Everybody did a great job, and it's a really funny movie. Now I noticed that the original was listed as a drama comedy, where this is just a straight up comedy.
Yeah,
So
that was Zoe Saldana, who ended up being Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy. Also, she played
that's where I know her from.
Neytiri in the Avatar movie.
And Ahura in Star Trek, the new Star Trek movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I knew she looked familiar. I knew she was good looking. I just couldn't remember her from where until you just said that, and I'm like, oh, duh, of course. Gamora.
She definitely
Well,
it came up from a lot of movies after this movie, for sure.
Yeah, this is probably one of her first. You can tell she's a lot younger. Than, not that she's old in the other ones, but just she's definitely younger in this one.
How about you, Tammy? Was this a first time watch for you?
I think like KJ, I've seen bits and pieces of it before now, but this was the first time I watched the whole thing, and I did really like it. I mean, it was, it definitely had some very good comedy in it. That's for sure. So, yeah, I did enjoy it.
Okay. Going over to you, Boris. Was this a first time watch for you?
yes, it was the first time, and I would like to say if I had watched this movie as a standalone, yeah, it would have been pretty good. Well, it's still pretty good, but since I saw the original before and now this one, it was impossible to watch this one without automatically comparing it to the original, and I would have to say I somewhat prefer the original over this one, but this one was still pretty good. There were some scenes where I kind of had issues with some characters, but all in all, yeah, it was a good comedy, a lot of hilarious moments. It was good, even though I usually don't often pick up this kind of movies on my own initiative, but yeah, it was good.
And I would have to say that this is my first time watching this movie in its entirety. I think I've only caught bits and pieces of it from the trailer. I don't think I caught much of it like on television. I didn't watch a lot of black comedy growing up, but as I grew into a teenager and an adult, I started to get into a little bit more urban comedy. At least that's what I would call it. But yeah, I respect Bernie Mac as as an actor and a character that he plays. I mean, I didn't entirely expect it to go the way that it did, like to start out the way that it did, to show a little bit of the parents first. I kind of sort of expected it to like follow the original movie a little bit, but it took its own creative path, and I think I liked that for it. It definitely felt like more of a 90s film than a 2000s film, it felt in the vein of that kind, but Ashton Kutcher, my God, baby cheeks. I mean, he's still got his training wheels on him a little bit, you know. To me, I think this was like the first time that you could actually see that he could like apparently act like more than just a goofy guy that you see doing stupid shit, you know. Um, he played a character on that 70s show that was always like sort of like blonde, like all the time, like completely forgetful and on purpose accidental in every way, shape, or form. um, and I think that's the kind of like role that he typically played, kind of like how Jim Carrey first started out, you know. But I'm just not sure he got to a point of Jim Carrey's standpoint as a comedian. But to me, I told Tammy this. Ashton Kutcher kind of reminded me of like Stifler from American Pie, just a little bit. As far as characters go. Yeah, I enjoyed the different interactions. I think some of the moments that I've enjoyed, I'll speak of later in my favorites. But let's get into the plot. So Bernie Mac plays the father. He's a banker. And we see some of this interaction with his bank and his the guy who ends up being like his lackey. Which what do you think about this beginning scene? Because in the original film, we see the couple coming in on an airplane. That's not the case, is it? We see Bernie Mac's character obviously preparing for a ceremony to retake his vows with his wife, if I remember correctly. So KJ, what did you think about when Bernie Mac first appeared?
Well, I'll say one thing about it. I think the whole setup of it plot wise I thought was very clever because since this movie is not necessarily a complete remake, it is kind of adapted from the same source material as Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I like the fact that they kind of flipped it on its head. Like, okay, he's a successful black man who obviously is getting ready to retake his vows and everything. Whereas in the original movie, he was a successful black man who was a doctor coming in off of an airplane and everything. So when we first watch the movie, it is going to seem like it's completely just coming from his point of view as the father. Whereas in the original movie, it wasn't just coming from the standpoint of Spencer Tracy. So I did like that, and I like seeing that because at the time, I mean, showing a successful black man at that time still wasn't that big of a thing. It really wasn't. 2005 it wasn't. But point of view wise, the movie is about the couple. More or less. Ashton Kutcher is playing Sidney Poitier's character, kind of from the first movie. So like it's just the point of views are different. I think the point of views are different. It's come more from the father's point of view, and I did like seeing that. At the start of the movie. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the beginning, I thought it was a good scene.
Okay. What about you, Carl? What did you think about the beginning scenes here, where we see the father getting ready, and just the beginning exposition of the film? You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that it's funny, because he's just like, what's wrong with the vows the first time, and there's like women, he's like, yeah, just kind of funny little banter about it, like it is a thing, like, men don't want to renew their vows. They do it the first time, and and women always want to. Oh, it's so romantic to renew their vows and stuff, and I can see how being romantic, but still, it's a lot of shit stuff to go through. It's like having a second. I mean, if you didn't really have a first wedding, like you had like a small wedding, or you had you got eloped or something, I could see doing it because it's the first time. But if you already had a big wedding, the hell you need to have a second one for? But yeah, so I thought that was pretty funny, and immediately liked Bernie Mac's character. He was definitely good, and the employee was a really good suck up. And not too bright. I mean, you later find out, because the whole Jamal thing, and it's just like, he never really figures out that there is no Jamal.
Going over to you, Tammy. What did you think about Bernie Mac's character as the father as we first begin to see him?
I thought that he had a good sense of humor right from the beginning. Plus, you could also see that he was getting frustrated though, trying to, you know, write what he was trying to write, and he wanted to make it right to impress his wife, and then his little sidekick wasn't being that helpful with the what he was trying to, his 2 cents that he was trying to add. But you could definitely tell though that his character was, if you put the other stuff aside, was one that had respect where he was working,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Percy Jones was his name.
okay, he had respect where he was working of his peers, and that he had worked hard to get to where the level he was at the company that he was at. So you could definitely tell he had some definite standing, you know. So
Clout.
clout, yeah.
Okay, going over to you, Boris. What did you think about Percy Jones as a character as we first meet him here?
Well, at the very beginning, I must say I was a little bit confused because since I knew this movie was supposed to be kind of a remake of the one we watched last week, at that beginning, as you said, the beginning is very different from the original. So at that point, I was mainly focused on trying to figure out who is who, from which character here is the equivalent of which from the original. So, and how this whole new subplot they were introducing of renewing vows and so on, how that's going to play in the whole story. Uh, so yeah, I guess I don't have that much of an opinion of that very beginning, as yeah, I've seen it only once, and like I said, my main focus at the moment was on trying to connect these characters to the ones from the previous version. So I don't know.
Well, and while this beginning exposition of setting up a scene, Percy Jones and what he does and all that jazz, we get to see Ashton Kutcher's character, Simon, as he apparently works for a lawyer firm in which he goes in and he tells them that he is quitting his job, and he ends up going home, and that's when we meet his affianced, which their plan is to, at the upcoming revowing ceremony, is to basically show up unannounced and announce their engagement at the party. Um, and what do we think about these scenes here? Because I know, Tammy, you felt like he had every ample opportunity to tell her everything that was going on before everything even existed.
Well, it was planned for them to go to the party. They weren't. It wasn't that they were showing up unannounced. It was planned for them to be there.
Okay.
But announcing that they were together plus engaged was not, was not part of their parents' plan.
No, and definitely the time that they've been together was, from what I understand, in the original it was 10 days. In this one it was 6 months. Do y'all think that that's a short time period for someone to decide, oh, let's get married?
Uh, yeah, it is kind of short, although it does make a little more sense than just 10 days.
I would say it's subjective. Something like that I think is always going to be subjective just to the person. Me personally, I always say give it at least a year. But that's just from upbringing, and I think that a lot of people break their facades later on. But I do think that's subjective. How much time it took.
Okay. What about you, Kroll? Do you think that 6 months and 10 days are are definitely too short of a time to jump the broom?
No. I mean, people, you know, get married sooner and or later, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on the couple, I mean, if you really mesh and you think you really know each other, it can work out, and you know just because you meet and get together quicker than other couples doesn't mean it's not going to work out. You know, it's just I think it really depends on the couple. I don't think there's any set amount of time. You can be with someone. I know someone they were together for 10 years. They got married and then she cheated and they got divorced. So 10 years and it wasn't enough. So you never know. It's just how long it's gonna take. So I mean, you could meet someone and just suddenly get married the first day and be married for 50 years. Obviously that's rare than anything else. But yeah, it's just I just really think so. It depends on the couple. And like I said, these two had chemistry, so you could see them. You could see them working out. You know. Obviously neither one of them ever had any issues about the other one's color, and they just obviously knew the outside world did, and which bothered them some, and that's why Ashton Kutcher is like, you didn't tell him I was white, because you figure, he knows she doesn't care, but he doesn't know the family, and others, she didn't really know her father that much because she thought he wouldn't care, and he did care at first, definitely.
Well, obviously, both characters, whether white or black, did not think that it was going to settle over well, and that's a similarity between the two films.
I never saw the first film, so I missed last week, and I've never seen it. So I know the basic premise is like this one, but opposite. But other than that, I don't really know anything about that film. So unfortunately, I can't compare the two at all. Like I said, I've seen this one quite a few times, but I've never seen the other one. So.
Well, I appreciate you taking a gander at this film. So, going into characters, what do we think about Ashton Kutcher's character, Simon? When we first meet him, and up until they get to showing up at the house. What do we think about him as a character? Um, how about you, Boris? What did you think about Simon?
Well, I thought he was pretty good. I know the actor mainly from the sitcom Two and a Half Men, and yeah, he's a pretty good comedian. Now, as far as the character goes, he was pretty amusing. Maybe if I was him, I think I would have maybe stood a little bit more firmly against Percy. I wouldn't have. I would have stood up for myself more than he did. I probably wouldn't let him talk me down so much without me talking back. Uh, uh, but all in all, yeah, he was good. There were many funny moments with him, and as we get to know him better throughout the movie, we get more. We get to know more about him as a character, and his actions start having more and more sense, especially when we find out the real reason why he wasn't honest about losing his job. When we get to know the real truth, that's kind of impacting. Uh,
What about you?
uh,
What about you, KJ? What did you think about our good friend Simon here?
Well, I'll say one thing I'll say about Simon. I liked his composure. He was actually really trying to make a good effort to impress her family. Now, his lie, I understood where it came from, in the movie when that did come up. But I did like the fact that he actually tried to make an impression because, in the original movie, with Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, they didn't really show that. They didn't really show like Sidney Poitier's character trying to make an impression. His kind of demeanor was just, you either going to take me as I am, or you're just not going to take me at all. And Simon was actually making a concerted effort. I just kind of like the fact that, when you had that dinner table scene, he was put in such an awkward position because he was the only white person at that table, and the whole family is eating and everything. And, they're kind of starting to grill him. And, they say to him, well, tell us that joke. And no, I don't think I should say it. No, tell us the joke. Tell it to us. And he finally does say, oh, she loves her little nappy hair. And then, you got the grandfather like, yo, where does your grandmother live so I can go kick her ass? I mean, for some people, that would be offensive to them and they would get upset, and rightfully so. But you never see him lose his cool or his composure, which is very similar to Sidney's character, sure. But, I just like the fact that he at least tried to ingratiate himself and try to, you know, make it work. And I like seeing that because he was the odd man out. So I like Simon. He's a good character, stand-up guy.
Okay. What about you, Tammy? What did you think about Ashton Kutcher's character? So,
I got a kick out of him too. I think, he was trying very hard to do everything right. And it just seemed like the harder he tried, though, the more it backfired on him. But, like AG said, he kept his composure very well. But you could, in his facial expressions, you could see, when something went wrong, you could see him, but he didn't say anything, or say anything back. He's okay. He just went along with the flow, but you could see he was just like, oh no, what happened? He didn't lose his composure. But he still had like the facial or whatever, the reactions to things. So I thought that made it really good because you could see that, he kept his composure, but yet you could still see that he knew that things went wrong.
what about you, Crow? What did you think about Ashton Kutcher's character?
Oh, I love his character. His character is just. You could tell he was smart, hardworking, even though he just quit his job. You don't find out towards the end of the movie why he quit his job. which he was standing up for his woman, which is good. But like the father said, I know it's the head, but it was the wrong move. Basically, I mean, it was stupid because you can't quit your job just because people saying shit. People are gonna say shit. Just whether it's your boss or whoever it is. And but I love his character, and you definitely see his point of why he hadn't told her yet. Um, and see her point why she was mad and upset. But that's neither here or there. Like I said, his character's just great. Like you guys said, he kept his composure the whole time. I mean, he didn't want to tell those jokes, and then he kind of got on the roll and just kept going. And he's like, and they were laughing like after the first one. That wasn't what. After that, the Afro Turf and the PGA Tour and the other jokes they were all laughing at. The hoedown. That was funny, because they weren't. I mean, yeah, they were so-called black jokes, but they were funny to anyone, whether you were black or not. They were funny jokes.
I think that there were some definitely good bonding moments between him and Bernie Mac's character.
Oh, definitely. But the last joke. That's when all of a sudden it all ended. The grandfather reached over like he was gonna kill him, and Bernie Mac like, I lost my appetite. He's just like he was being such a jerk to him. Going him on about the jokes, and Ashton Kutcher just trying to think of the jokes and not thinking that they would be insulting. And he didn't want to do it in the first place, but he got dared, and he kept put him on the spot, like you said. So he's like, okay, I want to empower him, so I'm going to tell him. And then the last one was just like really bad, but just it was an awkward position. But at least his girlfriend, she or fiance, she agreed with him, that yeah, he was dared, and yeah, he should have stopped, but like she kept trying, like she wanted to put a stop to it immediately. Like she didn't want it to start, and she definitely didn't want it to keep going because she knew eventually it was going to get to one that was going to be bad, and which it did, So I thought his character was great anyway. So that's my take on it.
Well, and I think that this was like one of the first movies where we actually get to see Ashton Kutcher pull some chops together. I mean, I know that this movie was based on the original, and I know he had to think that this is like a role to try to get down like right, in his own fashion. So I do think that there are some serious moments in here that we get to see of him that really shine through, as far as like the moments where you get to hear about his father, and what he had to go through, his father leaving when he was very young and stuff like that. But I think the thing that I like about him the most is the fact that he took on the impressing of her dad really to the extreme, where he accepted being able to spend the night, and especially after the fact that her dad came down and slept there with him. I love the little shots of them spooning together. It was priceless.
Don't let's not forget the scene of he drives into the hotel and he's like, reservations on the Bernie Mac. He's like, wait, you knew you were gonna throw me out a week ago? He's like, I knew 24 years ago when I said I had a baby girl, which definitely you can definitely see. Yeah, his daughter's an adult, but in his eyes, it's his little girl. Whether obviously you guys been together, but he didn't want to hear it. He doesn't want nobody, and he doesn't want under his roof. So and also when you look at the clouds, it's like looks like it's rain. Oh no, it's fine. And then it starts pouring. He's like, "Are you gonna put the windshield wipers on?" When it starts raining, it will. It's only drizzling.
And every time he turns on the radio, it plays a song.
Yeah. I love the Ebony and Ivory. That one's just obviously a classic, and it was just every time.
I think that's the one that I remember from like the trailer, because I think they played that.
They did. They did.
And the thing is, these are all songs that are obviously trying to say that being white and black is cool together.
Right. Exactly. Which is great. I mean, it's just really funny. But sometimes that does happen. I found a lot of times I put on the radio and coincide with what a conversation or something I'm thinking or something that happened. Like every time I used to drive a cab, and every time I left a certain company and went back to it, which happened a few times, Back in the Saddle Again would come back on the radio from Aerosmith. Every time, and it was just kind of funny, how that will happen. But
what did you think about these scenes, KJ, where his the father catches them in that cross-dressing moment, and
dude, I'm telling you. When he put on that little red thing, that little red lingerie, I was just like, watch Bernie comes in here and sees this shit. And then it just happened, just like what I was thinking of. I was like, I know, as a black man, I know you catch a guy in a position like that with your daughter behind him now, I'm like, oh, shit, man. Oh, shit. He's about to blow the roof. He's about to blow the roof, man. And he does exactly that. And, Bernie goes downstairs like, hey, honey, you see what I see him there? He up there doing this? I was like, yeah, he ain't staying here very long. But yeah, I like that scene. I have to say, Ashton Kutcher and Bernie Mac, I think someone might have mentioned this. They really had great fucking chemistry.
I did.
Really,
I mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, they really did.
Oh, they played off each other perfectly.
Perfectly.
Especially when they were dancing together later. I mean, that was fantastic scenery to me.
Yeah.
I like the go-kart race. I thought that was great.
Oh, that was
Oh.
that was hilarious.
Oh yeah, that scene was full of spools.
And the cop license and registration, they're in freaking go-karts.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Lord. You never worked with no Jeff Gordon, and that was funny. When he told that lie about NASCAR.
Yeah, and then
most black people,
and then he sees that Bernie Mac is like, has a picture with him, and he has all these NASCAR stuff. He's like, oh man, like he really picked the wrong sport.
He did, because it's funny, because just as a connotation, I mean, most African Americans don't even watch NASCAR, and it was just funny because I always liked Jeff Gordon. And I was like, now that is funny there. That is funny, because that's the least sport I would see Bernie Mac liking, But no, that was funny.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I should have gone with hockey.
Yeah, that was something that you'd think a redneck person,
Right.
that box
Right.
wine would be like watching. Of course, then of course it's like the best drunk sport ever, because then it's like you're watching it go around another turn. You're going around another turn.
Hey, how many films did you got? 6 to 8.
I mean, I never got watching it. If I was in the shape to be able to do it, I probably would have wanted to actually drive it, just because it would be fun to drive. Watching though, it's just like, to me, it's boring as fuck. Because like you said, you're just going around in a circle.
That's why I like the drag race. Show me what you got. What I
exactly.
won. Show
I
me
agree.
the power.
Drag racing's fun. The NASCAR, the round in circles, not fun. You know,
I
playing
know.
a game.
I have lots of friends that get into NASCAR, and I'm like, "You want to come? What? No. Why not?" I said, "That
It's boring.
doesn't do anything for me. I want somebody to show me the power. Show me what you got. Let's see what you got."
Yeah.
Especially when you actually go to a drag race, like for real, like a live drag race. We have a drag strip where I live. You know, it's really fun to get into to watch when you're down there.
Oh yeah, well,
Watch.
there's a old friend of mine who was part owner of one that I used to go to all the time. So, and I got to go down in the pits, and I got to be around all the cars and all around all the drivers, and then they had a car that if somebody didn't have anybody to just to run with when they were pre-qualifying, just somebody to go run down with them, I got to drive it. It was a Charger.
Nice.
So I got to go have fun on the racetrack too.
I'd love to be able to do that. That would have been fun. Yeah. Most
I
I've
remember.
done is I did 100 in a cab on the highway. Once just to hit it. Then I'd slow down and never did it again because these cabs were not the greatest shapes. They were, old cop cars that had already been beaten up by the police. And by the time, we got them, and then they're beaten up every day from driving the cabs, so that they were definitely not in worse shape. The whole car was shaking like crazy, and you definitely could feel I was going fast. But
I had a guy
had to do it.
that I knew that challenged me when I had my 1980 Grand Prix. I buried the needle in my 1980 Grand Prix to show his ass up, and I sure did.
Yeah, like I said, I had to hit the 100. I probably could have maybe gone a little faster, but I was afraid the fucking cab was going to fall apart on me. So, yeah.
I don't know how fast I was going because I buried the needle in the car. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're probably going over 100. Some of those cars they show, like older cars show, it goes to 85, and that's it. It stops. But those
I
cars
think in 1980
go
Grand
faster.
Prix, I think it went up to either 100 or 120, something
I was
like
thinking
that.
120.
All I know is it went past that, and he thought his car was all that. Yeah.
Well, in any case, yeah, that was to me, go-karting is like a fun thing, and I thought that was a hilarious moment between the two. When they came out of that bush, I can imagine Boris, you said "spudao" or something like that.
Exactly. Yes, I did.
But in any case,
Sorry.
but after that, they started to really kind of even though they were against each other all the time, they started to a little bit bond.
Understand each other a bit more.
It broke the ice,
Yeah, one interesting thing about the car scene, in my opinion, well, aside from the Spoonaus, is that I found this conversation interesting when Percy tricked Simon into revealing that he is in need of money because at that point, until then, Percy was mostly giving off the vibe of being an asshole for not much of a real reason. But here we get to know that he also has a more intelligent side to his personality, that he is not really as dumb as he appeared before. So that was an interesting moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. It is great. How Ashton Kutcher puts it up. Oh, so how does it work? Someone comes in and say $50,000. Like, oh, you need a loan? Oh no, I don't need a loan. And then he's like right from that moment on, Bernie Mac's character's like, okay, he needs a loan. Okay, and he doesn't ask why he needs a loan or anything. But he's just like, okay, he needs a loan. right?
Mhm.
You know, and you definitely don't meet your father-in-law and first thing you know, even if he is a loan officer and ask for a loan, it's just not the thing you should do. And to be
No.
fair,
Notice
Ashton
one thing
Kutcher's
about
character
all.
didn't ask for the loan, but he definitely implied he needed one. You know, you could
Yeah.
definitely anyone could see through his little charade. You know that
Yep.
you know, and I love how he does trick him. He's like, all right, you know, if you beat me, you know, I'll give you that loan. Oh, really? I knew it. I knew you needed the money. I don't need
But if you pay,
it.
no, but if you
Yeah.
pay attention to the characters in the scene like that, stereotypically, you wouldn't probably expect that from a guy like Ashton Kutcher's character. And then that was something I thought that was interesting. As a white guy, he was somebody who, he was going through hard times.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he had somewhat of a similar background that you see, with African American males. He didn't have a job, he didn't have a father, he needed money. That was something that was kind of interesting to see, because it wasn't, something that you see every day.
Yeah,
especially
they
on-
flipped it. They flipped everything.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
where he didn't just have everything handed to him
Right.
on a
Right.
on a what is it, a dinner plate, you know?
Yeah, platter, silver platter. I mean,
Hey,
it was.
I've been a white person my whole life, you know, and ain't nothing been handed to me. I had to work hard for anything I ever had. It wasn't
Right,
want.
and it goes to show you that white privilege doesn't always work for everybody.
I know.
Everybody.
I used to
everyone has a
say that
story.
to people. I'm like, "What's white privilege? What is this thing?" Because I mean, obviously, I know what people say it is, but I'm like, I ain't never seen that. I have never seen
Right.
this white privilege thing. I've had just the opposite happen to me. Like I went to the welfare office. I was out of work. I couldn't find anything there. They're like, "Well, we can give you food stamps." Okay, and then there's all these other people that are coming in and going right out with their checks and guys, women, whatever. They basically told me because I'm not ethnic or a female, I ain't getting shit. I mean, they didn't say exactly those words, but they may as well have.
Right.
Like,
Right. I mean, and that's one thing this movie kind of does show you is like,
yeah.
stereotypes kind of are stupid because a lot of people have similar stories or similar backgrounds.
Yeah, it doesn't
even
matter
when
what
Bernie
skin color
Mac-
you have. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even when Bernie Mac's wife talks to, the daughter. I mean, look, my father didn't even like your father. When he first met him. So I mean,
Yeah.
people have
And then
a
said
lot of
he
similar
never did. He never did. Well, when did he start liking him? Well, he never did. So,
Never did.
Tammy had to have a heart attack in order for the state to give her insurance. So
Yeah.
that's how.
Well, yeah,
that's
because
how hard.
nowadays, and they don't understand you can be a minority no matter what your color. You can still be a minority.
yeah.
know?
They totally. If you're, I mean, I'm surprised you didn't get help because you're a female. No offense, but they do that. Like a women, they'll help for at least in this state, anyways. Maybe it's different because of states, but if you're a woman, they'll help you faster than if you're a male. If you're a white male, they don't want to help you at all. And it's just, like I said, it's just the opposite of that. Like they just don't want to help you, and it's just stupid. Like, it shouldn't matter what sex you are, or what race you are, or skin or color you are. It shouldn't matter. If you need help, you need help. And it's just stupid.
Well, yeah, and then my friend Justin went through that. He lived in Tennessee, and he had health problems, and he was going and asking for help, and he couldn't get any help, like you said, because he was white and he was a male, and nobody wanted to listen to him. That I need help,
Yeah.
And he just he got, when he was here in Wisconsin, he ended up getting a little bit of help, but then he went back to Tennessee, and then there was like nothing for him there.
Yeah, so I did now. I had Mass Health when I first became a diabetic, which is Massachusetts Health. Obviously, it's just that's the insurance out here, and then I moved, and like 3 days later, they sent me a thing in the mail saying you moved and didn't let us know you're cut off. Like, what? Like, you didn't give me a chance to fucking tell you. Like, literally, it was like not even a fucking week, you know. And I guess I could have just reapplied and gotten it back again, but I didn't know that. It's not like they told me. They just said you're cut off. I'm like, okay. So now what the fuck am I supposed to do? I can't afford fucking I was on insulin, but I couldn't afford the pills and the other stuff that I was on. I also had high blood pressure and high cholesterol. So these are all these pills I'm supposed to be taking that now I have no insurance for, and I didn't make a lot of actually at that first part. I didn't even have a job yet. And because I just moved to my sister's house, and I got a job, but I still was working at Cumberland Farms, so I was making enough to pay for medicine. I mean, barely make enough to pay for the copay. So I ended up that helped contribute to me having a stroke because I wasn't taking my medicine that I was supposed to be taking. So I went a couple of years with not taking any kind of diabetic medicine or blood pressure medicine or anything. I had some blood pressure medicine that I saved for like when I really felt like really bad, like I could tell when my blood pressure was high. And I drove a cab, so the fact that it didn't happen a hell of a lot more was amazing, because it's a very stressful job. And I finally had the stroke, and that's when they finally gave me back Mass Health after I got out of the hospital, which I got put into like the worst hospital ever
Yeah,
because
it's only until
I had
something
no
bad
insurance.
happens to you that they start to
But I
give a
already
shit.
had the diabetes and the high blood pressure, so I already had stuff that I needed more help with. But they cut me off and never told me I could reapply. Like I got told then, oh, you could have just reapplied. Well, I didn't know that. I figured once I was shut off, that was it. I was done. I was like screwed.
But in any case, getting back to the movie.
Yeah, we kind of went off on Daniel. Sorry.
Not a problem. We tend to do that from time to time.
Yeah.
But what do we think about Teresa Jones as a character? I mean, she comes off to me very much as animated as the original character. I know you didn't see her crawl, but to me, she definitely felt like a very similar character.
I couldn't tell you how similar she was, but I definitely liked the character. I can tell you that
definitely very animated. Already knew and already had like everything planned in her mind, how she wanted to be married. She had this set plan in her mind that everything was going to go off without a hitch. Her mom and dad were not going to have a problem with everything,
right?
And they get there and they can't act like the couple that they are. They have to spend the night in different places. They have to sneak out of the house. What do you think about her?
Yeah, I love, like I said, I love the character. I think she's the actress she's a great actress. I mean, like we already said, some of the other movies she's been in. This might have been like one of her first roles. I mean, I don't know. She might have been a child actor. I have no idea. But this role, she definitely was great, and the character is just a great character. She was confident. She was smart. I don't think they ever mentioned what she does for a living. Just she works because she said that you have combined income.
She seemed to know more about Ashton Kutcher's job and how good a job it was.
Yes, exactly. But I guess Bernie Mac had said that she's an artist, so I assume she must have some kind of artist job. Like you said,
which makes sense because in the original movie, the daughter's mother's job was she was an art gallery artist.
Yeah. So obviously they drew some of the things from that movie to this one. yeah, like I said, she's a great character, and she definitely had chemistry with Ashton Kutcher. I think Bernie Mac had even better chemistry. But yeah, she definitely had chemistry. You definitely saw they looked like a cute couple. They definitely looked like they were in love. They even when she was mad at them, it wasn't that bad. They didn't have a huge fight where they're yelling at each other, swearing and calling each other names. They did. They just had a
It
normal
wasn't
relationship.
like she took all of his shit out in the middle of the street and just had it run over or something like that.
Yeah. She just left with her mother, and immediately she's like, she wanted to talk to him. She's like, okay, we had a fight. I just want to talk to him immediately. And her mother's like, no. And then she wanted to call him again, and all her aunts and everybody was like, no, don't call him. And she wanted to just work things out. She wanted to work things out immediately, and just like he kept calling. And I love how to get off, well, slightly off topic with her, but when he was calling her, and see him like he's all being sweet, and the next second he's like yelling at her, saying how horrible she was for taking off, and it's just kind of funny how the outtakes of him, going from one extreme to the other, and he calling.
What about you, KJ? What did you think about Teresa's character?
I thought she was a very good character. I do think that her character, in terms of development, I think that she wasn't as developed maybe as Ashton or Bernie's characters. They're the leads in the movie.
Definitely.
But that might have been my only gripe too with the movie. Her character wasn't as developed. But I will say that she was very supportive of Ashton's character, and I like the way that she was almost like colorblind. For the majority of the movie, she might have been one of the few people, other than the mother, who really didn't have a lot to say about the difference, that Ashton had because he was white, or even the differences that they have because they were black. She just wanted to be with him. And I thought that some of the best acting from her in the movie came from that scene when her and Ashton go to that spot where she had her first kiss, I think it was. And, they have that scene together, and Ashton says, I want to have a daughter that looks just like you. And I just thought that was such a great little touching scene. But she was a good character. I just think she was just a little bit underdeveloped, though.
I also like the thing that he said before that. I don't want to kiss in the same spot as your own.
Yeah,
boyfriend.
this is the other
That's
guy.
his spot.
And his face, he looked so disgusted. He was like, "What?"
And I love the fact that she said that he had buck teeth, the original guy, and so he wasn't exactly good looking or anything. But
and then later he found a photo on that scrapboard thing that he was like, I think I found your buck tooth boyfriend on here, and he ripped it up, and then right after that he kept leaving voicemails and shit. That montage was great.
Yeah, well,
man left 33 voicemails.
And he's like, do you have tape so you can tape the picture back together?
That's a white boy for you. That's for sure. I'm not sure.
Oh, wait a second. What about the scene in her bedroom? Was that her cousin or sister? When she asked her, like, what's it like being with a white guy?
Oh, it's definitely not like the myth that they say.
He was big. He was big.
I love that scene. I love that scene.
I love her.
And then the sister's like, this is like, thank you. No matter what I do, I could burn the house down, rob a bank, but you're still gonna be the sister that brought home a white guy.
which is still a very prevalent thing in black and white households, believe it or not. I mean, even though,
now, yeah.
Even though I know things are a lot more kosher these days, if you brought a white girl home, would your mother never hear the end of it, or let you hear the end of it if you brought a white girl home, KJ?
I think that there would be some not use the word hostility. I think there would be some uneasiness. I think it might be a little bit uncomfortable. But I say that I know my mother well enough that if the person makes me happy as a guy, I know that she'd be fine with it. But I think that today with so many people now in interracial relationships, I think that hostility, it might not be seen so well now, but it might just be something that just is an uncomfortable feeling in the room without someone having to say anything.
And another thing that is funny this movie did is you typically, if you see interracial, it's a black guy with a white girl. That's
Yeah.
the more typical.
Yeah.
It's a lot less typical to see a black woman with a white man. So they
There's no
normally do a
hostility
switch,
there.
but they
Yeah.
did the
Well,
switch the less common way, which I thought was great.
yeah, it is interesting how this movie, especially in combination with the original, it kind of shows that racism can go both ways.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've definitely known people, both way, and I also I know a black guy that he's kind of racist against other black people, which is
Hey,
Yeah.
really
No,
weird.
Chris Rock made some comedy against black people.
Oh well, yeah, but that's different. I'm just saying, like he
no,
generally
like
does.
yeah.
My friend generally didn't like other black people. Like he was racist against other black people. He only hung out with white people. He only dated white girls. He basically, besides like his mother, like he didn't associate with anyone else black, which
Yep.
I just found really fucking weird.
Let me tell you a story about that.
But,
I knew a guy who was black who literally would not date any black woman, period. And when
that's how my
asked
friend
his
was.
reason, right, when asked his reason, he said to me, the reason I can never date a black woman is because down there for them is different than white women. And I said, it's all pink on the inside, bro. Come on. Come on
Right,
now. Come on.
right.
You came out of a black woman. Like that's hard for me to really process as a person. Like you came out of the womb of a woman who looks just like you. I mean, how could you not date somebody that looks just like you? But I mean, some people are very odd. In that regard.
I
Yeah.
think from
It is
generation to
funny.
generation that we're taught that we only like date or what is it? We only date our own kind, and
Yeah.
that's one thing that's kind of like been misconstrued over time. That it doesn't matter your pigmentation of skin.
Exactly.
We're all equal in the eyes of whatever deity or undeity that we decide to.
I like how you said that. Most people would have said in the eyes of God and not recognize that, there's other religions out there.
Well, unfortunately, I can't exactly oppose the spirituality of a god because, people believe different things, and in the age that I grew up, you only believed in God, but I can't impose that nowadays, even though the Bible tells me to.
Dude,
I can't force I
I'm
can't
older.
force you to believe in God.
I'm older than you, and I am not a Christian. And
Well, see, I
I
know
haven't been for a long time.
when I grew up, because my mom and my mom's side of the family were actually very racist, and that caused a lot of trouble for me because I wasn't and I didn't listen to them. And I remember my mom saying that the only reason that a black man goes out with a white girl is it's a trophy. And I was like, I just couldn't believe that. And she said that that's how things were. Is that if a black man was able to get a white girl, it was like having a trophy.
It's funny you
Trophy
say that because
girlfriend.
I know that I'm younger, but that's still something that I heard a lot growing up, in the 2000s. And that was something that just
Hey, I've heard them
And
called
I
arm
thought I've
candy
always
too. So
yeah, that's kind of like a stigma. And
Well,
only
I
ball players get them.
I guess it's possible for some people to think that way, but I think it's always wrong to generalize. You can't say all black people think this thing or all, I don't know, white people, men, women, whatever. You can never say they all think the same thing because they never all do.
And it's a hard subject to talk about at times with certain people. Um,
Mm,
Well, I know, I
I'm
know,
glad that we can talk about it. Like
well, I know. Growing
But
up, for
this.
me, there was no talking about it, and when I was in, well, I guess you'd want to say like eighth grade or whatever. My boyfriend he was black and he was a basketball player and he was the sweetest guy you ever want to meet. And he could only walk me so far home because if my mom saw, she would probably kill us both. And,
oh,
you know, I went to a school where I was actually the minority. And it's like, I had lots of friends that were black. And I said, Albert, he was, you know, sometimes I wonder, if things wouldn't have happened and stuff back then and I would not have stopped going to that school and everything. He was a sweetheart. He was one of the sweetest guys I've ever known in my life. And I know
oh,
he didn't think of going out with me the way that my mom put it. I know he did not think that way or feel that way at all.
Hmm.
uh, I hope Dave is not going to get jealous now.
Nah,
No, David's not
I'm
like
not
that.
that way. I'm not one of them white people. And
my
I
man
know that
Dave is
there are
secure with
those.
himself.
I know that there are those who actually do get jealous. And I've known them to be on both races. So
No,
The-
people who
about Tammy expressing herself that way about an ex-boyfriend while you are here.
oh well, she's expressed past things on relationships before to me in front of my mom. So it's not like I like got jealous over that shit. So
no, but it's a good example, especially within the
what matters
context.
is I'm the man that's in her life, and I'm the one that goes home to her, and I know exactly who's sleeping in her bed. So
But
My
one
kitty
thing to
cat
say though
Sassy
is,
is sleeping in the bed.
but one thing, I mean, that's a great example for what we're talking about, in terms of the differences. But I think nowadays it's starting to become more common. So you don't have to worry about when you bring somebody home. You get either reaction. Because one thing we do have to say, which hasn't been said in this podcast, is they were prejudiced towards him. Which is the
yeah,
flip side of how in the movie there are prejudices against Sidney Poitier. So I think people have to understand it's like not just one group of people can be prejudiced towards somebody. Everybody has their own prejudices and stereotypes that they always are bringing up. You know,
yeah,
Uh,
and we have to do better jobs of that as people.
and
Um,
it goes both ways. I mean,
right,
to me, it's always like an argument. It takes two to tango,
right.
and to me, the problem of race has always been between all the races against each other. Unfortunately, we've had an age old argument that there is something different in all of us. Well, there really isn't.
Well, no, but
mm,
the thing that's always bothered me for all these years is who the hell said the white race is superior? Why is everybody say that we are superior? What makes us superior? Who the hell came up with that?
Probably the
I'm
Nazis.
sorry. I don't think
Probably the
that I'm any
Nazis.
better. I'm not any better than a Jewish person or a Chinese person
No,
or a black person or an Indian. I'm not any better than any of them. And whoever sat there and started this crap, that
Right.
the white man is the superior should be shot.
I mean, it might have been there before Hitler, but I'm pretty sure he was definitely one to spread it out a lot more than anyone. So
In history,
and-
one thing that's tougher is that I'll say this about in history is when you really go to the 1600s and 1700s, when the country was kind of forming itself, and race superiority is really about power. It's about who's
Right.
in control and who has, dominance. So when you can put people into slavery, when you can put people into servitude, you had white people who were Slavic, and Slavic is where they get slave from, but Slavic and from different countries who they were indentured servants to
Right.
people who were white, and they were. I mean, if you go by their skin complexion, they would be considered white. And they were indentured servants. And then when you have, the trades with the Africans and stuff, you
Yeah.
had African people who forced their people into slavery. So
Yeah, they
you
did
have
it
somebody
before. They did it before the
Right.
U.S. ever did, and they
Right.
always used to go back to all white people slaves, black people. Well, no,
Right.
actually, black people did it first. To their own.
Right. I mean, black people did put their own people into slavery,
Yeah.
and then they sent slave catchers down there to get other black people, but you had indentured servants who were Slavic, and they were, different, nationalities, but they would be considered white by people if they were in America today,
There were
so
also black slave owners in America
Right.
too.
Right.
So
And one thing about Americans that I find so funny is people always say white and they say black and they say brown or whatever. Those are colors. You have people who have culture. A person who is Italian is not the same as somebody who is a regular, what is it, Anglo-Saxon. I mean, you don't. They're two different things.
Yeah, totally, completely.
And in our society, we have people who, oh, he's white or she's black. But that's the one thing I like kind of in this movie is, they show different things within that culture. Yeah, you can have fried chicken and you can have mashed potatoes and corn on the cob and all that and R&B
collard
music.
greens.
But collard greens. But at the end of the day, I mean, the way that they treated him as a family might be different than the way people who are Nigerian may have treated him if he was to come to their household. That's a culture thing,
Right. Exactly.
which I think is lacking in society today. We don't want to look at culture; we just want to look at color, and color can be misleading when you don't look at it, in depth.
If you don't respect the person before they come into your home, how are you going to
Right.
respect them from here on forward?
Exactly.
And I think that's one thing that happened. I mean, in this movie, they especially on Percy Jones' part, not on the mother's part, because
Yeah, she was cool in the
we
beginning.
haven't gotten to the mother, and she was kind of like a background character, sort of. She's kind of important too, because I think that she was looking at her daughter and realizing how she felt.
Yeah, she didn't care. She didn't care that he was white. Like she right at the beginning, she didn't care, and she looked at Percy like, why are you caring? Like I know you care because he's white, but why? Like you shouldn't be caring that he's white. But she knew it was that he had a problem with him being white, and then she didn't have any problem at all. Like she just
She
wants
made the
her daughter to be
same.
happy.
She basically made the same comment like they made in the other movie about this is how we brought her up. We brought her up not to look at the skin color.
Right.
And they said that in the first movie.
And she kept telling him, "Hey, are you sure it's not because it's the color of his skin?"
Yeah, you sure it's not because he's white? He's like, "Oh, I don't care because he's white. It's because this and that."
And I have to say, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, even though I don't care for when men, as they quote unquote say that they simp to get a woman back, but the one that I will say is I like the scene where he has to confront her with all her girlfriends and everything. And the one thing she just wanted to hear him say was, "I'm wrong." Because that was the one thing that he had a problem with the whole movie. Percy's character now, not Ashton. He couldn't admit that he was wrong. He was wrong for the way he was treating him. He was wrong for the way he looked at the overall situation, and he wouldn't consider anybody else's opinion other than his own. He finally will
Right.
admit, baby.
Right. He was
I'm
right no matter what. And yeah.
I thought that was a great moment when he said Ashton Kutcher's vows instead of
Yeah, it was funny.
Hey, he
Ashton was
hijacked
looking at
that.
him like
he hijacked his shit, and you saw Ashton Kutcher was like going.
So then he starts with the song that Bernie Mac's character was gonna write his vows. You know, he starts singing that song, and they're like, oh, "We gotta do this in private."
And then he goes and does his vows.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
it's
Rule
the
number
song.
5.
It's that song, some song. I don't know the song, but he's like, "I want to see your body, bum 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 bum," or something like that. And it's just like it was just like whoa 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 whoa. And then
I'm not surprised that she just walked up and out. I mean, just the way that he just didn't have anything on the spot that he could just say, you know.
well,
He wasn't prepared for it.
He had all that beautiful stuff to say, but Bernie Mac stole it. And that's when he's like, "Well, I had something similar to say." And you know, so he didn't rat him out that he stole his stuff, but then he's just like, you know, he just starts going out with this song, and it was hilarious, you know, him singing
Tammy,
that song.
what did you think about that scene?
Oh, when he stole his stuff, that was that was just great because you're watching Simon's face, and Simon's just like,
Yeah,
and
what
he's
the
just
fuck
like,
you doing, man?
he's looking at him like, and he looks like he wants to interrupt, that he's just like, oh, how could he do that? And then
Motherfucker.
You stole my goddamn
and then when it comes to his turn, he tries to be like Percy.
I love how a little bit before that they were having drinks, and the husband of the sister walks out and is like, "Women, I have to go to work in the morning," and then he pours her one more drink, and goes back in the house, and he's like, "This is my house."
Yeah, and he grabs the pitcher. He drinks from the pitcher. He's like, "This is my house," and then all the women stop laughing.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was definitely funny.
And ultimately,
Oh, I do not. Sorry, I do want to mention one more thing before they went to the house. Bernie Mac is like, "You just can't go up there with a bunch of black women; they'll kill you." He's like, "It's the right thing to do." It's like, "I know that, but I'm still scared." he was like this big badass man the whole movie, and then now he's just like, "I don't want to go in there with all these angry black women. Like, you know, they're gonna eat me alive." You know? It's just absolutely hilarious. You know, I mean,
I do like the moment where okay, so we get a moment where him and Teresa end up breaking up.
yeah,
And after that, Percy Jones ends up tracking him down at the station. After, I mean, this is after a couple of scenes where we get the breakup. We get her talking to her father, and he can see how upset she is, and that's when he decides to, on the day of the wedding vow party, to 10 minutes before everything is supposed to start, track Simon down, and he has a moment with him on the bench where he says something to him about, you know, how I could tell that you're not a quitter, you know.
yeah.
And I think he says something in relation to his father, and I think he kind of really brings it home in that moment between him and him.
Yeah, he says that, you know, you're not like your father, and he also says, you know, I know why you quit your job, And that's when he tells them, it was commendable, it was this and that, but it was stupid, So basically, he's complimenting him that for his character, but as a person that needs money, needs to work. Everybody needs to work. You can't just quit your job, because he got blackballed. All of a sudden, this other company that wanted him so bad don't want it anymore because they started this fucking rumor, whether true or not, screwed him from being able to get another job. Which they never they never resolve, like, what does he end up doing for work or anything. Does he end up apologizing and going back to the JPR? I don't know. They never resolved that. But anyways,
No.
it's true. Okay, yeah, he was being commendable. He was sticking up for his woman. What was being said was bullshit, and but which I totally understand. I probably would have done the same thing, but again, it's stupid because people are gonna say shit all the time, and
Well, yeah, you shouldn't have to quit a job
you
because of
can't.
race.
If you have a good job like that, you can't. I mean, obviously he was thinking, well, he was obviously in the moment, wasn't thinking, but then afterwards he's like, oh, I'm fine, I'll just call her up. They want me anyways, and I'm good to go. And then all of a sudden he finds out. And that was another thing that I thought was the scene at the restaurant when he gets the phone call, and
No, you can take it right here.
yeah, I was like, I mean, I don't care who I was talking to. I wouldn't want to sit there with a bunch of people just being quiet while I'm on the phone with someone. That's just awkward, super awkward. Never mind, this is something serious. Like, that was definitely.
I hate to say this against the urban race, but y'all are okay with talking on the phone no matter where you are.
Yeah, I can see that. I've seen dudes do that, but me personally, nah. Like, if I got something I have to say that's like urgent, nah, I'm not talking in front of you motherfuckers.
Yeah, I don't usually
Well,
have phone.
I'm going to be honest. I work with the public every single day, and I swear it's colored people that are coming up to the register, and they're yapping on their phones. Yeah, while we're making a transaction. I mean, to me, if I were making a transaction, I'd pay attention to that.
Yeah. Tell the person,
let me
hold
say
on.
this: business is business.
I'm sorry.
No, business is business. I'm not talking on the phone in front of nobody. I mean, unless they are in this business with me, that's the only person. No. I mean, to me, that's just bad manners in general. Just in general. Look, if you're gonna be on the phone, do it privately. But hey, everybody is different now.
Well,
but I will say I've noticed that. Full blown conversation. Full blown.
Yes.
It's the women, though. I mean, and it's not just colored women. I've seen other women. They'll just sit there and and they don't care who's around or nothing. And it's just like, okay. I mean, I've been in stores plenty of times, and we were out at Walmart Thursday night, and this lady's just yapping away on her phone. She was Indian or something like that, and she's just like yapping away on her phone right by everybody, and it's just like you couldn't understand a damn thing she said because it was in her language, but still.
They especially like that, like people who speak Spanish,
I mean,
whatever.
If
they think nobody else can understand them because they're speaking Spanish.
But women like these phones, and especially, when I was working at Potawatomi, and we'd be on breaks and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a casino, and the color girls, man, they'd be yapping away and just yapping away all over the place, like on break and walking around, and I'd be like, okay.
But did they go do 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 do? I always love that line in that song. And the color girls go do 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 do.
But it's mainly women. I don't see men doing it that often, no matter what color they are or nationality. Men don't do it that often. It's the women that sit there and yap on their
I've
phones.
talked on the phone in public, but when I get to the cashier, I'm usually like, I put the phone away, put them on hold or
If
whatever.
I go to the store,
It's because I just don't care.
if I go to the store, the only time I ever talk to anyone is calling Tammy to say, okay, what did I forget? I know you said something before I left the house. What was it? Because I'll get to the store and then I'll forget like 2 items or something like that. So I call her and I'll be like, what else did you say? I got this, and this, But other than that I don't yap on the phone. I may have a conversation on the phone, like a movie conversation with someone, and not pay attention to anything else. But that's about it.
Yeah, when we're in the store together, he's sitting there doing the texting thing on the phone, and when he realizes that I'm about 5 aisles away, then he comes to find me.
Wait, where did she go? She's right here.
I normally go to the movie aisle first, so that's my favorite section. But anyways, moving on. So we didn't really talk about the breakup and the conversation she has with her father. We kind of scaled over that. What do y'all think about that moment? Do you think that? Do you see? To me, I almost don't think that he had really all that much time to tell her, that he'd lost his job, or even a way to tell her.
I agree.
He definitely never enough time to come up with something good to tell. How to say it.
I mean,
how to say it.
The first thing he comes home and she's like, "Oh, we both got jobs, and I splurged on this and that." So he's like, "This isn't a good time." Then they're in the cab. Then they're meeting the father-in-law and everything. And it's just like you said. I honestly agree. You didn't really have any time to tell her. It kind of just happened, and then.
But Tammy, you think differently.
I think he should have told her before they even left.
Oh.
And why?
What?
Why? Because that's being dishonest. And that's why she got mad, because he was being dishonest.
He didn't lie to her. He just didn't tell her.
Yes, he did.
He did
By not telling
her.
her, he lied.
He did not lie to her. He just didn't tell her. He just omitted the truth. He didn't tell her. He didn't tell her a lie.
Right. To me, alluding isn't being dishonest. That's just me just not saying anything. Right.
Exactly. I think
it's still a lie.
No, it's a difference. There is still a difference.
See, women are in this constant thing of believing, and I hate to be sexist about this, but women are in this constant that say not saying anything is just the same thing as lying.
It is.
That's what they say.
Those are two different things.
They're two different things.
Because to me, if I lie to you, just hey, you know what? I didn't go to the store. I went here, and when really I was going to someplace else. No, I mean that's a lie. I mean that's a lie.
That's a lie.
Yeah. If you go to the club and tell her you went to the store,
right? Right. What's the name? And I say no, I went to the gas station. No, I mean that's a lie. But if I just don't say I was banging so and so, that's just me not saying anything. That's me alleviating from the truth. Even though both are wrong.
Truth be told,
come on, Boris, help me out on this. I got all these guys.
Actually, there were scenes when Simon was not only keeping quiet about it, but his job was being brought up, and he wasn't saying what happened. He was making up some excuses, so technically he was kind of lying to her. But
he was going along with her truth.
Right.
He was going along with the lie.
Well, maybe, yeah, but I would also like to say there is one issue I have with Teresa as a character, and that would also be my main issue with this movie as a whole. It's the silent treatment she gives him two times in this movie. Once is when she and her mother go away. Okay, then we get to see that she is not quite happy with not answering Simon's phone calls, that her mother is making her do it. But then again, later on, after the breakup, he is calling her again and she is ignoring his calls again. And that time, it wasn't her mother making her do it. It was her own doing. And I think silent treatment is one of the worst things you can do to someone you supposedly care about, no matter if it's a friend, a romantic partner, a family member, anyone. And I think it's bad that they included a, a situation of silent treatment in the movie without pointing out how disgusting it is to treat a person that way. Well, anyone, even a stranger, let alone someone you care about.
But it goes along with reality of what a woman will do to you if you lie to her. She will just not.
If
talk
she
to
think
you.
you lie to her, hell, put that
Yeah,
in context.
yeah.
If she thinks you lie,
which is why Percy Jones tells him she's always right, no matter
Yeah.
what.
Yep.
Yes, remember that,
hey,
David.
my man
I'm
Percy
always
knew what to
right.
say.
David,
No
remember
matter
that.
what. No matter what.
Yes,
It
David,
doesn't
no matter what.
whether she's wrong, she's right.
Right, David. Remember that.
Happy wife,
Sorry.
happy life.
Already forgotten. It's always yes. It's always whatever you say, dear. It's always yes, dear.
Exactly. She's right, you're wrong, no matter what.
Well, that's actually something I have to disagree with because
Are you married?
no,
There you go.
but
if you're married,
I'm not married, but I know how it works.
So do I. And though you may think that you wear the pants in the household,
You don't.
It's
No,
your
that's,
intended.
She wears the pants too, and her pants are bigger.
That's no, that's not what I expect. But in any human interaction, I think whether it's a family relationship, friendship, romance, anything, I think mutual respect should always exist. There should never be this case, even if you're right, you're actually wrong, and it always has to be the way I say.
Well, communication is always the best thing.
It is, but
yes,
when it comes down to it, the women are right. It's just the way, like, women know they're wrong, but just to the point of the fact that they won't admit it. Like they just won't, and you have to admit that you're wrong, and then they'll be happy, even though in their mind they probably do know that you're right. But it's just the way it works, dude. It's just the way it goes. Like it's not a stereotype thing. It's all women are like that, whether they say they are or not. All women are like that. You know, it's just the way they fuck their bill, I guess. You know, like I don't know what to say. You know, I love women, but just there's some things that don't quite make sense like that. But I mean, I don't like to be wrong, at all. You know, and I used to argue a lot when I was younger about things, and I do now sometimes, especially with Mo, because he gets under my nerves sometimes. But you know, it just I don't argue as much anymore because I'm just trying not to be under any stress. But but when it comes to
I don't
women,
think David.
like,
I don't think David got the memo because he thinks he's always right.
well, I mean, I get that. I mean, I will say the woman is always right, and I've been in plenty of arguments, and I've always known this, but I just couldn't give up the thought of me being right because I knew I was right.
I think males in society think
and-
that they're right.
right.
And don't like to admit when we're wrong.
I admit when I'm wrong, but it takes a while.
Yes.
And it takes less long. Now I just kind of just drop it. Like I don't admit I'm wrong, but I don't keep going that I'm right. I just kind of like drop it.
Well,
But like I said, in my relationships, I knew that I should just say you're right and just drop it, but I couldn't. Which is why they failed, because I couldn't do what I knew.
In the moment,
I couldn't admit I was wrong when I was right. And if I was wrong, I did admit when I was wrong. That I did do that. But when I was right, I couldn't admit I was wrong because I knew I was right.
I can admit I was wrong if I really realize that I was. But if I still think I'm right, then sorry, I won't say I'm wrong.
If you love a woman enough, you will admit when you're wrong. So that
what about you,
things
KG?
will be
You
okay.
don't say. You haven't said anything.
Well, me, I have a partner, and she can be quite tough when it comes down to stuff like this. So my best response is this: I'm very bullheaded my own self.
Right.
I'm very bullheaded, and then I am sometimes, I'm sometimes very tough to convince otherwise. But one thing I will say is when I see that I'm wrong, I'll admit it.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly
I'm
how I
wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna keep going on and on and on and on about something. As a guy, my thing is this: we can't agree about this. And you know what? You have your opinion, I have mine. We're just gonna leave it there. Because I don't have time for the back and forth, the back and forth nature of argument.
Yeah, when I do realize I was wrong, I will always admit it.
Right.
I really don't care much about pride or anything like that. But
if you're able to see the error of your ways and admit it, then that makes you a better man. So
bigger man.
I can be very bullheaded too. I mean, nationality-wise, I'm Bohemian and German, so.
Yeah, well.
I'm a Taurus, born in the year of the bull, so I'm very, very, very.
I'm a Gemini and I'm very mule-headed, but I have a good heart.
I'm very argumentative.
I'm a Pisces.
I've always been argumentative.
I don't know what I am, but I endorse the cowboy way. I endorse the John Wayne Randolph Scott way of this. I'm styling up my horse. And I'm riding on.
I personally wish it were like the Wild Wild West, because honestly, back in the frontier days, they did things right. At least to me, I feel like the laws of the land were respected more, and I don't know. I just wish we could go back to the days where we could have ourselves a hanging.
Well, I'm gonna say this about that subject, as I'm a huge Western fan. Is one thing about the frontier days is they were tough. The one thing I did like is, at least compared to today. Today, I think we try so hard to accommodate people that we're willing to overlook things, we're willing to, alter things. But back then, it was the letter of the law. And if you ain't follow the law to the letter of the law, then you got your ass whooped. Just gonna keep it $1.50. You got your ass whooped.
I think most people are so ashamed of some of our history, they'd rather erase it than remember it and try to do something.
That's the problem.
Better.
That's the problem. You know what's funny? Movies like this might not get made anymore. And I say that from the standpoint of, you saw both sides saying some shit to each other that today, they try to overlook, or they try to move it aside, or, whatever the case may be. Because, the black people in this movie were prejudiced towards them. I mean, I don't think nobody has mentioned that, but they said some damning stuff. They said some damning stuff to that guy,
Yeah. I forgot to mention that I think the person that was kind of playing the nanny was like that wedding planner And when he showed up with his wife, and she was goddamn beautiful, you know, because he acted like he was gay.
Yeah, and Bernie Mac didn't like him for that. He was like, oh, he's metrosexual and all that. Like, bro, you can't say that shit today. You can't. You say that shit, you get canceled quick. You get canceled quick, man. You know,
I can't stand the cancel culture. I cannot stand it. And also the let's not hurt people's feelings, or like, give me a break, suck it up. I'm like,
I just can't stand the people who wait 30 years to tell a story. It's like, bro, tell your fucking story, man. The internet has been around for over 20 years, man. Tell your fucking story.
So ultimately,
I just, like you said, the cancel culture. I just hate all this stuff nowadays. Like Aunt Jemima syrup. All of a sudden, you couldn't have that lady on the bottle anymore.
Yeah,
that wasn't racist. She was proud to be on that bottle.
Exactly.
And Uncle Ben's rice, same thing. And now all of a sudden these labels got to be changed. Even the
Dr. Seuss books.
the butter with the Indian on it. Land O'Lakes butter had to take the Indian off. It's just this is all so stupid.
Yeah, it's totally stupid. It's just so stupid. And anyone who's actually, the funny thing about it is, 9 times out of 10, the people that are supposedly offended aren't, and it's just everybody else thinking that they're going to be offended. Like, okay, not to be stereotypical, but it's just these white women, middle-aged white women, that are causing, that has caused a lot of it, saying, oh, this is offensive to black people. This is offensive. And then you have black people like, no, it's not. Like, we don't care. Like,
I almost imagine it like it's the town knitting. It's like the city's knitting circle that gets together and is like, my way. Don't you think we should cancel this by now?
And going back and taking books out, or omitting things from movies, and like, it's just fucking stupid.
Well, yeah, like the Dukes of Hazzard, because they had the flag on the top of the car.
It's always had that flag. It's just fucking. It was just a great show,
Uncle Jesse was by far the most nicest guy on TV, for Christ's sake. And they tried to cancel the Dukes. So I was like, y'all got to go to hell for this.
Well, MeTV took all the episodes off that had the General Lee having the flag on it. So
that's all the episodes.
Dude, there was a time period that they took it off Amazon. You couldn't even buy the show unless it was like on eBay or something by third-party people for a period of time. They took it off. I was like, damn.
That show was around before that the symbols was stolen and used for something that it wasn't supposed to be. Like, that was never supposed to be like a bad fucking symbol at all, ever. And then it all got changed to a bad symbol, and now all of a sudden, like, the Dukes of Hazzard and all these other stuff are now considered bad because they have this symbol. They have this, just like the fucking the pentacle and the pentagram. Okay, they're not bad at all. They're not bad in the least.
I know that they were trying to cancel Gone with the Wind too.
It got used by Christians to show the devil and the pentacle and pentagram and all bad. They're not. If you look into them and what they actually are, they're way better than our crosses. Not to get
the same thing about the American flag to some degree now. You can say the same thing about the American flag to some degree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
All I know is everything has just gotten so out of whack with that. Just so out of whack.
What were you saying, Boris?
I was saying, I think the biggest problem with cancel culture is that they get the attention they don't really deserve from the media and everything. Like, they get offended and people immediately go and do things they want. Like, they want to cancel this and that, and those things get banned instead of the others just telling them, well, who cares if you're offended? I was offended at some point too, and no one cared. So get over yourself and be happy. Yes.
the cancel culture is almost the same as censorship.
It's
me.
worse. It's
It
way
is the
worse.
same.
It's way worse.
Or worse, yeah.
It's just a different word for it, only worse.
It is. You're
Yeah.
right. It is a basis of censorship, but it's way worse than they are. I mean, the censors have always aggravated, which is what pisses
They've
me
just-
off. Is
But I'm
They
gonna
censors
say
always
this
aggravated
too.
people,
but-
and now the cancel culture is like 10 times worse, and there's more people going along with it than the people that were mad about
But-
the censors. The censors.
But the one thing you have to put into context with that though is social media changed everything. You know, because of the fact
Oh,
that now
really has.
everyone can voice their opinion. You know, and the thing was, my problem with social media is this: not everybody who has a platform should have a platform. Because you
I
got so many
agree.
dumb people out here who say dumb, insensitive, irresponsible things, and the problem is. Most people, I'm sorry, Americans who are listening to this, or people around the world, most people in general are dumb. And I
I
don't mean that
agree.
to be
I
mean.
agree.
Most people are dumb.
like
And I say that because you can say, you know what? The sky really ain't blue. It's fucking purple. And you'll have people who will literally believe that it's purple just because somebody said it online. And I know that
especially
sounds absurd.
celebrities.
There are
It's
still
absurd.
people who
Right.
believe that the world is flat.
Right. You know,
Yeah.
people believe that. You know, people believe that. You know, and but
Oh yeah,
But-
flat earthers.
But the thing about it is nobody's actually doing the research. Like, you know, look into this before you say, okay, you know what, I'm canceling, you know, this person because I heard they raped somebody 30 years ago. You don't know. Like, you don't know.
Okay, like John Wayne. He was supposed to have like a national day. They found out
Yeah.
he said something racist, and they're like, "Oh no, he's not having his day." You know.
I want to say this about John Wayne because I'm torn on John Wayne because as a kid growing up, I might have been the only black kid who probably saw every John Wayne movie that there was. I love John Wayne films. But the thing I want to say about John, right? One thing I'm going to say about John Wayne is when he did say what he said. I read that article, what he said. I want to say this: we do have to understand people are a product of their time. I don't care what anyone says about right and wrong.
Totally.
People are a product of their time because you have people who grow up in environments and they've been taught something their whole life and they believe it. And I'm going to say this too. This correlates well with the movie because when she said, look, we raised our daughter to think a certain kind of way. And you know what? She went out there and she thought that way. So you can't be upset with her for coming back home and showing you basically, you know, the byproduct of what we instilled in her.
Yeah.
So, you know, people are completely a product of their environment. And for him, he grew up in the 1900s. That was the stigma then. So I'm not shocked by it. I'm not. His comments have to be taken in context, you know, for that time. But at the end of the day, was what he said wrong? Yeah, it was wrong. But I would say this too. I've never seen anything that he's done to go out of his way to disrespect or to attack different races. I've never seen that in anything that he's done. So
That's like,
you have to do your research on shit before you fucking run with it.
that's like when,
Well, the thing with this cancel culture, though, too, is you know, as we go forward, there's children that are going to miss out on a whole lot of history because of this cancel culture.
Oh yeah,
Revisionist history. Revisionist history. I mean, is what they call it now. You know.
Yeah, I was gonna also like Hulk Hogan. He had a private conversation with his daughter. Yes, he said something racist, but he was also in a private conversation. It should have not gotten out anywhere, you know. And all of a sudden, he's being canceled from WWE and the Hall of Fame and everything, and taken out of video games and all this bullshit. It's like, okay, Hulk Hogan was a mainstay of fucking wrestling. Like, it's a tragedy for him not being. He should be in everything, and later they probably put him back in. But it was just stupid. Okay, yeah, he said something fucking stupid. They shouldn't have fucking said. But he was saying it in a private conversation to his daughter because he was upset.
I didn't even remember. I
I forgot about the Hulk Hogan situation too, David. I forgot about it. But what I'm gonna say about it, is, look, and I'm black. Look, if he said it, I mean, if he said, he said. I mean, look, my thing is this: I don't know, we ain't friends. But here's my problem: if you do put him to that standard, you have to put everybody to that standard. Every last single person that ever comes to that business, whether they're a black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever they are. because that's the problem. It's like, look, you probably got Asian people who say, "Man, fuck the Mexicans," or you might have black people who say, "Well, fuck this person," because they're Caucasian and they're this or that. People say prejudiced things. People have prejudices in them from their experience.
Yeah,
and then of course,
Everybody.
then you can't get nitpicky about it either, because then you've got
You can't.
films that portray people racist.
Yeah.
yeah,
Look,
exactly.
we should ban
And-
every Western ever made because they never use Indians in 99% of them. They use white people in wigs. They never acknowledge them. No, for real. They use white people in wigs.
And the
Don't
thing
give
is,
them ideas.
I think, and I think we can all be honest in this. I think at some time in our life, I think every one of us has said something racial at one point in time, as we were
Oh, I
mad about
definitely
something,
have.
or somebody got us mad, or this or that. I don't think that doesn't mean that I think that KG, if you said something, doesn't mean I think you're a racist. Things come out. People say things out of
Anger
anxiety,
or
out of anger or
whatever.
whatever. I don't think anybody can sit here and say honestly that they've never ever said a racial slur in their life.
Oh, I have. I know.
And I'll say this, and I will say this too. I mean,
but
I've
there are
said plenty.
politicians who
I've said
will state that they didn't. So
Right. I'm African American. I've said every single word there is in the book, and I'll be honest with that to the day I die. I don't care if anyone tries to cancel me because I hope they'll listen to what I'm getting ready to say. I've said everything to the moment that I've been confronted by a certain individual. The one thing about me, I will say this too, working in the public, I've worked with every single race. I treated everybody the exact same way they treated me when they came to me. Now, however our conversations will go off, that's based off the context of that situation. But that's the thing, like, look, we all have said shit. And a lot of times, it's been people coming at us. I'm sorry, I defend myself. Look, hey, I'm trying to hurt your feelings the way you're trying to hurt mine.
Exactly.
I mean, that's how people think. That's how people think. It's a defense mechanism. So you can't hold, certain laurels as to, I'm this way or that way, on this occasion. But you know what? No, I've never said anything bad while I'm out in front of the public. You can't say that. You can't, because then you're being a hypocrite.
Well, getting back to the movie, we have a finale.
Oh yeah, we're talking about a movie, aren't we?
It's hard not to talk
David's gonna have to edit this.
It's not hard to talk about race and what it does in real life when it comes to like racism in movies and racism in culture. So I get why we're going off on these tangents.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is this, though. I mean, this is a great movie. This is a great
It really
movie.
is.
And it does talk about different stereotypes and feelings that people have. And they did it very well. The thing about it is, as people, we can't view people as a stereotype. And once Bertie Mac got over that, that's when him and Ashton Kutcher were actually able to bond.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh yeah, most assuredly. So we get him, Percy Jones, convincing him to come back, and he has his finale moment with his wife, and then we get the whole Ashton Kutcher moment, and then I love how the afterwards is kind of like a commentary on the wedding video while they're playing.
Yeah, that was cool the way they did that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
What did we think about this finale? Did you enjoy the fact that everything thing went down without a hitch at least?
Yeah, the ending was good. Like I said before, I only have a problem with not enough emphasis being put on how awful it is to give someone a silent treatment. Like, literally anyone who is trying to talk to you, even a stranger, let alone someone you supposedly care about, Uh, like I said, that would be my main issue with the whole movie. But aside from that, everything okay.
Well, the movie definitely did something that men and women both do. Like men and women both will give the silent treatment. I've experienced it many times myself. I've actually done it a couple times myself because I just got tired of being the only one who's like aggravated that I'm getting the silent treatment. So I've given it back. So and again, also with silent treatment, there's also a period where you got to cool down. Like if you say something, you're gonna say something you regret. So instead of not saying something you regret, you just don't say anything. So I know you see it as a silent treatment, and I get that, but it could be just the fact that you're trying to cool down. Like I do that now because I'm cooling down. Like before, I would never cool down. I would just say what the fuck was at the top of my head, no matter how hurtful, no matter what. I would just say
Sometimes,
it, and that's worse than the silent treatment.
and when you have arguments that happen in the heat of the moment, sometimes it's hard not to back down from them. You
Exactly.
always want to say something. And I
Exactly.
know that I find myself continually in arguments where I probably should have just shut the fuck up, you know.
Exactly.
You know,
Uh,
but
well,
it doesn't happen, and I continue the argument, and it just gets worse, you know. And
Yeah.
and she actually takes the high road, and ultimately she doesn't respond, and that just makes me like even
More
more
mad. Yeah, even more mad. Like you're fucking ignoring me now. You're not fucking answering. Like fucking say something, and
Especially
you just
since we had to have a conversation to get me here. Hey, here, what the fuck, you know?
yeah.
Yeah,
I,
I'm good at when I finally had enough of him and his mouth. I will just sit there and he can be right next to me like yelling and I'll just sit there like he's not there.
Oh well.
and I totally get that because like I said, I've totally been on the side of opening my mouth and should have shut the fuck up and didn't, and now I've finally learned for the most part, except for a certain person, I love him, but sometimes he just I don't know, he gets the arguing side out of me. you
And
know
sometimes I think it's like we are born to women and men are born to argue with each other. It's like
Well, I mean, Mo's a
it's
man and I'm a man, and it's not just women. But
well,
this is the way I see it.
men
Like,
are mentors. We love to argue.
okay, now
Let's admit it, at least.
oh, I've always admitted that I love to argue. The problem is when I argue, I get violent. Like not violent as in physical, but with my mouth. Like the first thing that pops in my mouth is something very insulting or really mean. I'll say it, and it doesn't matter that I love this person I'm saying it to. It's just I'm mad, so anything that I think I say,
Hmm.
and I mean I held back a couple things here and there, but for the most part, anything I thought I said, which you should not do, especially someone you love. But
Well, no,
I've come to the conclusion that okay, men and women don't necessarily work together. You have to work at it. You can't just it just like Bernie Mac said, marriage is war. It is. Just because you love someone and it doesn't mean it's easy to men and women are completely different. You have to work at your relationship. You have to work at it for the work. And that's the problem with a lot of relationships these days is they get married and then like, oh, we're just getting divorced. It's like the dating, only because to me marriage is more sacred. I'm not a Christian. I'm not that kind of religion. So it has nothing to do with God or goddess or anyone. It's just if I make a vow to someone and she makes a vow to me, then that should mean something. It shouldn't be something just thrown away.
words used to mean a lot
And,
more.
and that's why I've never gotten married because I don't ever want to get divorced. I've always wanted to be married, and I still do, but I'm always afraid that I'd get divorced, and I want to be. And it's not because I'd lose half of what I have because I don't have shit. It's just I wouldn't want to go. I don't want to go through that. My mother went through, two divorces, and she finally got the third marriage. He ended up passing away, and she still loved him, and she got cremated now recently because he was cremated. Like she still had all that love for him even 10 years later, which I'm so happy for. But I've seen all the other relations. The other two relationships. Marriages fall apart. I mean, I didn't really see my father because I was 2 when they broke up. They got married because, well, she was pregnant, and that's what they did then, and you know, and they were just completely different people, and they could not work together to live together. I don't. I've heard stories on both sides. But more from my mother's side of the story because I grew up with her. But it's just the way it is. Some people can't get along. But yeah. So I vowed when my ex got pregnant that I wasn't gonna marry her just because she was pregnant. Like I was not gonna do that because it's worse to have that kind of environment with a kid, like a toxic environment than not.
And I respect you for that. I
You
mean,
know.
I know at one point in time in the history of America, if a girl got pregnant or a woman got pregnant, the immediate thing was
Yeah.
to get down on one knee and might as well devote your life
Well,
to
like I
that
said,
person.
that's what my father did. He's trying to do the right thing because at the time that was considered the right thing to do.
Hmm.
I mean, I disagree with that now, and that's because I was a product of the situation. I mean, I was 2,
Hmm.
but from what I heard, it was a very toxic environment. Like I don't remember it, which is good, but still, it was a very toxic environment for me, and like physical, like they physically hurt each other, and it's just like I said, I've heard stories, and it just I don't. I mean, at times I tended to be on my mother's side, but again, I grew up with her, so you know it's what I always heard. So, and my mother was the one who was always the parent around, and I knew. So, what later on I started thinking, there's always 2 sides to everything. So I
Hmm.
can't automatically think that it was my father's fault. Did he do stuff wrong? Yeah, but I'm sure my mother did too. I mean, maybe my father did more or less or whatever, but I'm just saying there was probably mistakes on both sides. There's always, any relationship I've been in, whether I was wrong more or not, um, there's definitely shit on both sides. It
Oh
takes
yeah.
two. It takes 2 to mess things up just as much as it takes 2 to make it right.
So
Well, I really like
ultimately,
the end. I like the
go ahead.
ending. I like how everybody came together at the end, and you saw Simon and Teresa apologize to each other, and and talk about in the future about talking about things, not keeping things from each other, which was a great way to end it. To end the movie, that they came to terms, they figured out things for their future. The parents had their beautiful 25th anniversary, and and it looked like got a new understanding of each other too. In this movie, and this whole movie, it seems like throughout it, everybody got a better understanding of each other throughout it, and that's something I really liked about this. Everybody, their relationships, all um all needed work, all needed to be worked on in this, and they all did.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so I think at this moment, I was thinking that we could talk about production. What did y'all think about production? I was going to go with you, Boris, first, since we haven't heard from you in a little bit. So what did you think about the production overall?
I think it was good. There were some scenes that I believe weren't quite easy to do, like and so on, which is probably also my favorite scene with the Spudhouse, yes. And yeah, I guess it was fairly simple as the nature of the movie doesn't require much CGI or things like that, but uh, it did a good job at being what it was supposed to be, I think.
Okay. What about you, KJ? What did you think about the production overall?
I thought the production was very good. I liked some of the suits that they had Bernie Mac in, and overall, I thought the production was pretty good. Um, I'm trying to think of anything distinct. Um, I'll say this: I did like the set that they used at the end when they had the vows renewed, when they started doing the whole ceremony and everything. I did like that set, especially when they had that scene of them dancing. I
Yeah.
like that whole scene. But no, I thought the production values were very good. Uh,
Okay. Going over to you, Tammy. What did you think about the production overall?
I thought it was good. I think everybody played on each other very well, and they had decent scenes for everything. One scene that I keep wanting to say something about that we everybody skipped over way at the beginning is when he was in the elevator after he quit his job, and everybody was sitting there watching him. Those security guards were watching him on the
and betting
cameras
on him.
and betting on him and laughing because they could hear him and they could see him. I just thought that was hilarious, and I thought, that was like a scene where they made good use of just an elevator and some cameras, and what's he doing, it
Yeah.
made it made for the funny part of the movie, and they didn't have to do much except to have some cameras in an elevator.
Yeah. Okay. And going over to you, Kroll. What did you think about the production?
Oh, I agree. I mean, obviously, it doesn't need CGI or anything else, but I think everything that they had, they utilized perfectly. And like she just said with the elevator scene, that was a great scene. And obviously, that didn't require much, just the elevator and the cameras. Also, when they opened the doors and that other person was standing there, saw him talking to himself, and they just like, I'll take the next elevator. Like, they thought he was crazy. They're like, yeah, I don't want to get in the elevator with him. Which
And then
is
you
another
saw
little
him
funny
pushing
thing.
other buttons like he was going to other
Yeah,
floors
he
before he
couldn't.
got done with his rant.
Yeah, he couldn't make up his mind because he's like freaking out because he's quit his job and he's about to meet his father-in-law, or soon to be father-in-law in his mind, and he's just freaking out and then making bets on it, which is hilarious, and it was funny watching the security guards trying to keep a straight face as he walks down past them. You saw their face like they wanted to crack up laughing. It was really well done, really well done, because the security guys really showed that they wanted to laugh their ass off, but they were trying to be professional and not, and you could really see that. It was really funny. And he was just so upset that he didn't even notice. But he was just like, and then just they're like goodbye, and he just walks. And, if they had showed the security guards afterwards, I'm sure they would have been busting their ass laughing again. But I want to say one thing about the ending scene that I didn't get a chance to say. I love the banter they had when they were watching the playback, and Ashton Kutcher's like, I taught him how to dance. We had a practice run, and Bernie Mac is like, no, that never happened. I've never danced with a man in my life.
Yeah.
He's just denying it altogether that he had taught him, and then he's like, hey, let me tell you something about this dance. It's very technical. It's very this and that, and he's like, I told you that. It's just like, again, he steals his words. This time he ratted him out. He's like, no, I told you that. I thought it was pretty funny. Bernie Mac like to steal his words.
It was pretty funny. I mean, to me, I thought the production was pretty good. I definitely thought it was different that we saw it from the parents' point of view. Definitely, I love the fact that the racetrack was a bumper go kart. I've had racetracks with go karts where they weren't as bumpered up as that one was.
Right.
Where it was just a bunch of tires that you flew into instead of like this whole like racetrack where it looks like they're driving down a bumper bowling alley, you know.
I love how they kept smacking into each other. It was great. You know, I'm like, it's not bumper cars. You know, I'm like, they're really gonna fuck up these cars. They're not supposed to. I mean, obviously they built them to take care, you know, just in case somebody accidentally bumped each other. You weren't supposed to intentionally keep bumping each other. You know, it was just,
Right.
It was supposed to work.
You're supposed to run around the track and and race each other. That doesn't mean like whatever.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, I thought that I do like that ending scene with the whole lights like coming down like a waterfall. I thought that was
That was awesome.
that was awesome, and yeah. But let's get into. See, did we notice anything music wise? Oh yeah, that's right. The music montage in the car. That was music that I remembered, but I didn't remember the score all too much.
No,
not
really.
One.
The score was kind of, you know, it's kind of okay, but I mean, they did pick some good songs.
The
like
music
when they closed out on.
The music was done by John Murphy, and he's done music for the Suicide Squad recently. But he did music for X-Men Days of Future Past, Lock, Stock, and Barrel. That Les Miserables TV miniseries that came out not too long ago. Kick-Ass. He did the music for the remake of The Last House on the Left. He did the music for 28 Weeks Later.
So you're saying most of the music he does, he's not recognized because most of the music is kind of background that you don't even notice is there.
Well, yeah, I guess he did both 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. So,
most of these movies, I cannot picture what the soundtrack is like. Like, you know, you say Star Wars, I know the fucking soundtrack. Like, you know, it's like, but like these movies, I can't even think of a soundtrack at all. Like when you're just saying, like, wait, did this movie have a soundtrack? Like,
like this is one of those films you just don't pay attention to. It's like, you know, it's just, you know, I don't know. If it's in the background, I don't remember anything, you know, really sticking out, you know.
Yeah,
stuff
exactly.
like some of the songs they bought, you know.
Yeah, some movies, you know, like Star Trek when they had when he's listening to the Beastie Boys and when he stole the car and he's driving around, you know, and you know that song was awesome and it really stuck out, you know.
It looks like he's doing the music behind Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so that's at least cool.
So another one where I probably won't even notice the music.
Well, he'll be working with the actress who played opposite Ashton Kutcher here. So.
Oh, I know. Come on, look at that. Yeah.
But other than that, let's talk about favorite scenes. Let's go with you, KJ. If there were a favorite scene from this film, what would it be?
I'm trying to think of one I haven't spoken on. Favorite scene. I want to say this is a favorite scene just because I thought it was funny, not because of that, but the scene where Bernie Mac is in his office and his, I guess his assistant or something comes in And he starts talking to him, and he gives the back massage, and he starts, oh man, yeah, So he's like, so tell me about this guy who your daughter's seen. Oh yeah, his name's Jamal. Yeah, you know what? You know the Cosby. You know this person. You know the yeah. That's I mean, that whole sequence with him and that guy was funny, man. Then you got Ashton Kutcher just standing there, kind of looking through the pixie glass, like, what in the world? Like, it was just a really good thing, that whole thing. Yeah, he a basketball player. Almost went to the league. That whole sequence was just funny.
He went to Howard,
Yeah, he went to Howard. Right. He went to Black University. He was like, come on, man. He had a story in Jet magazine. I mean, all those things, were just so big at the time. Yeah, that was my favorite.
Oh yeah. Some of the information that was given out during the film were definitely a product of its time. Kroll, if you could pick a favorite scene, what would it be?
Oh, I really have two. I mean, the whole movie is so funny; it's hard. But the dinner scene, I just find it so. The whole thing, I found, putting him on the spot and telling the jokes, and some of those jokes were really funny, and they were even laughing. It was just the whole thing was. I mean, when I think of that movie, that's the scene I think of more than anything. But the go-karts is going to be a very close second, because that was just so hilarious. At first, Bernie is just like pushing him over, and finally he's like, I'm going to stop for a second trying to get this man's approval, and I'm going to fight back. He's like, as much as he wants his approval, he's like, okay, I've taken enough abuse. I'm going to get him back a little bit here. It's just they go back and forth, and then they're so busy fighting each other that they don't notice that they're about to go through the bushes, and they go flying across, and then all of a sudden they realize they're in the middle of traffic, and they both look, and they're like, ah, when they see the traffic. It's just, the whole scene was just so fucking hilarious. It's just absolutely hilarious. These grown men in these little tiny go-karts, and they're just smacking each other and smacking them, and it's just, and it's the Ashton Kutcher when he pushes them into the tires, and Bernie's face when he's going boo, it's just so hilarious. So I have to say that's my second favorite, just because the other scene is just so memorable. So those are definitely my favorite scenes right there.
Okay. Going over to Tammy, what was, if you could choose a favorite moment or a favorite scene, what would it be?
Well, I do have to say I really did like that one at the beginning in the elevator, because he's just going crazy all by himself, and everybody, he doesn't seem to care or realize that the cameras are there and that people are watching him. And, he realizes he hits the emergency button, and then he's trying to shut it off, but he keeps on hitting it and everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then I do have to say, though, the whole go-kart thing is, you have to say that's got to be one of your favorites, because it's just, it's just too funny.
Yeah, it was.
He pushes him into, first Bernie pushes him into the side. He's like, well, no. And then he's all laughing because he pushed him. Well, then, Ashton goes and pushes him, and he's like, I pushed you, It was great. And I do have to touch, we're only supposed to pick one, but I do have to touch on what Carl said about the whole joke scene. That was a good one, too.
Going over to you, Boris, if you could pick a favorite scene, what would it be?
It would probably be the one with cars, because to me personally, that was the funniest scene because of the spoon house and everything. You all by now know what that word means, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
every time crash or anything like that happens, his word he shouts whenever that happens is "spudao," because that comes back from a character on Gardens versus Zombies, a game of some sort. There's a character that yells that whenever he does something, and ever since then, Boris or Philippe has taken that and used it for every single crash. Or
Yeah, or whenever anything breaks, like I don't know, someone accidentally knocks a glass off the table and the glass breaks, and I'll say, "Spoon out!"
Spit out!
Yeah.
but are there any other moments that you can think of, or is that just your only one?
Well, it's not the only one. There were multiple scenes throughout the movie when I really laughed, but I think this would be the one that stands up, although it was also interesting, for example, when they had a confrontation, Simon, Percy, and the women, when everything they were hiding from each other was getting exposed. That was also an interesting scene. And
Okay.
there were more, but I can't remember from the top of my head now.
The racing scene was pretty funny, but the two moments that think are my favorite that I'll remember from this film are the two montage scenes. The first one is the part where they are spooning together in all ways and whatnot. And you just see that they're like laying all over each other. It's funny as shit. And then. Also later with him calling her constantly, and the things that he kept doing while while she was not answering him, it was just hilarious. He was going through an angry moment, a sad moment, a jealous moment. You got a little bit of everything, and I thought that was kind of like a roller coaster moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two scenes I will remember from here on forward. Did anyone else have anything else to say about the film? Okay, then. Then I think we will go into our outros. So, KJ, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Hey everybody, name's KJ. I have a film group on Facebook called Timeless Classic Movies and Television. We talk about all the classics, kind of like a history little channel. We show different things. But if you're ever interested in any classic TV or movies, definitely check us out. Other than that, watching movies, working hard, and just enjoying life. But thank you, David.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for coming back on. I knew you couldn't do Guess Who's Coming to Dinner without doing this one, at least. But in any case, going over to Kroll, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, real name is Ron. Kroll is a nickname from originally from EverQuest 2 and then EverQuest 1, where I met Mosley, a friend of mine, and he just always called me Kroll. And then so it just kind of stuck. So it's kind of been Kroll on podcasts and nicknames and other things and on Discord. So it's just kind of my alter ego name per se. And I kind of like it. Just kind of got used to it. I don't work because I'm disabled, but I love TV, I love movies, I love video games, I love reading. Pretty much read just Star Wars books. There's just so many, and I've been trying to tackle the EU, the old EU, the now legendary. Read over 100 books in the series, but it's fun. And I enjoy coming on this podcast, and I come on another podcast on Tuesdays, where we also discuss movies, all kinds, new movies, old movies, whatever, floats the boat. So that's where you can catch me if you want to hear me on the podcast here and on Tuesdays. So that's me.
Definitely. Boris, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
So, my real name is Filip. I'm from Croatia. Boris is a nickname I got because that was the name of the character I played in a short movie I made for Joe Sherlock's anthology Dark Zone 13. I'm a big horror fan. Hello.
Yep, we're here.
Oh, okay. As those who watch this show already know, I'm a big horror fan. I usually watch horror movies when I'm the one who chooses what I watch. And I'm also a writer. I have an unpublished novel which I'm kind of still working on, well, not on that one, but on other stories taking place in the same universe. And I'm aspiring to publish that novel. And I have a self-published poetry book on Amazon in case anyone is interested. And also, while I'm talking, I'd like to say I'm noticing these strange links that are popping up in our discussion. I would like to say, as far as I know, these links are spam and you may get a virus if you click on these links. So I suggest you all not to click on them.
Definitely. Going over to you, Tammy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I enjoy going on this and another one on Tuesday with David and everybody else. And I have my own collections of movies and music, and I enjoy talking about the movies when we go on. And then in the summer, I take out my 1972 Grand Prix and have fun.
Alrighty. And my name is David Streggy. I'm one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies Galore. So thanks for checking us out. If this is the first time on Inside Movies Galore, we go on about different movies and definitely a different film journey. I know this next week, Tuesday, we're going to be going on about Dragonheart and the Tingler. So join us on those. Those will be fun. And next week we are going to be doing a film that Kroll told me about called The Court Jester, involving Danny Kaye and several other classic people. So definitely
Angela Lansbury.
Oh yeah, very young Angela Lansbury.
Basil Rathbone.
Oh yeah. So keep a good lookout for that. Same time, same channel. And but I also moonlight under a different channel called Delusions of Grandeur, where I go on about my own video pickups and my own video reviews. So definitely keep an eye out for that. I also go on and interview directors of the independent nature from time to time. So check out some of those.
Actually, I think Delusions of Grandeur is the channel we are on right now.
Yep, Delusions of Grandeur is the channel that we are on right now. So let us know down in the comments what you thought of our discussion. And hopefully you can let us know whether you thought the film was as great or whether you had a distaste for it at any given point in time. But we're definitely going to continue to have fun this year. We'll probably have a lot of more stuff and films to talk about and subject matter. That's for sure. But in any case, thanks for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Thanks for watching, and I hope you had a blast like we did.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you.
Say good night, everyone.
Good night.